Have you ever felt a spark with a woman and found yourself wondering if she feels it too, but couldn't quite read the signs? Today, we're going to uncover 3 subtle indicators that she may already be experiencing desire. And the third one? It often happens right in front of you, yet most men completely overlook it. Welcome back. I'm Mary Smith, your host from the Mindful Senior Living YouTube channel. Many men sense when something is there, but struggle to interpret the quiet, almost invisible ways women express growing attraction. Before we explore these signals, there's something important to understand. If you've ever replayed a conversation in your mind, questioning whether she liked you, if you've ever walked away from an interaction only to later think you missed something, that doesn't mean you lack awareness or confidence. It simply means no one ever showed you how to recognize the language of female desire, and that language is very different from what most men are used to. Men often experience attraction directly. You notice someone, feel drawn in, and want to act on it quickly. For many women, attraction unfolds more gradually. It's not a sudden leap forward. It's more like opening small doors, one at a time, and waiting to see who notices. Women tend to assess the emotional environment first. They observe, create small moments, and look for safety, curiosity, and mutual interest before allowing attraction to deepen. And here's the fascinating part. Women rarely announce their interest loudly. They express it quietly. These signals appear in body language, subtle gestures, eye contact, tone, and positioning. They're easy to miss if you're not paying attention. But once you understand them, everything changes. Situations that once felt confusing begin to make sense. Moments that used to slip by suddenly stand out clearly. Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked back at a moment years later and realized she might have liked you? Maybe it was a coworker who always found reasons to talk to you. Someone at a gathering who stayed close a little longer than necessary. Or a woman who laughed at your jokes just a bit more than everyone else. At the time, you brushed it off. Later, you wondered. If that's happened to you, you're not alone. It happens to millions of men, not because they lack intelligence, but because they were never taught how to read these signals. So today, we're going to slow things down and examine 3 of the clearest, quietest signs of female desire. These aren't bold moves or dramatic gestures. They're subtle indicators that attraction has already begun. And when you start recognizing them, your entire perspective on social interaction can shift. If you're already finding this helpful, take a moment to like the video. It helps more people discover these insights and supports the channel in sharing meaningful content about relationships and psychology. Let's begin with the first sign. The first signal is simple, but powerful. Touch. Not accidental contact. Not a casual pat. I'm talking about intentional, subtle touch that seems almost effortless. In neuroscience, this is often linked to initiating contact. When attraction is present, the body naturally looks for ways to reduce physical distance. Touch becomes a bridge. Picture this. You're talking with a woman, sharing a laugh. As she responds, she lightly touches your arm and keeps her hand there just a second longer than necessary. It's brief, but noticeable. That extra second matters. It often signals comfort. And comfort is one of the earliest foundations of attraction. When someone feels uneasy, they keep distance. Their movements stay guarded, but when interest begins to grow, those boundaries soften. She might adjust your collar playfully, tap your arm while laughing, gently guide you through a crowd. Individually, these gestures seem small. Together, they form a pattern. A man once shared a story about meeting a woman at a friend's birthday. Their conversation flowed easily. During the interaction, she brushed something off his sleeve, touched his arm while laughing, and did it again later. He thought nothing of it. Months later, when they reconnected, she told him, "I kept touching your arm because I was trying to see if you felt the connection too." He had missed every signal. This is common because most men are conditioned to notice obvious signs, but attraction is often subtle. Research supports this. When people feel romantic interest, they tend to mirror closeness behaviors, leaning in, orienting their body, and initiating light touch. These actions are rarely deliberate. They're natural responses driven by emotional chemistry. Hormones like oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, play a role here. Physical touch can increase feelings of trust and connection. So when a woman touches you lightly, she may not even be aware of it. Her body simply feels comfortable, and comfort often leads to desire. Remember, one gesture alone doesn't mean much, but repeated patterns tell a story. If you've experienced this, reflect on it. Awareness is where understanding begins. Now let's move to the second signal, and this one is even more revealing. It's in her eyes. Eye contact communicates more than words ever could. Interest, curiosity, attraction, even trust. When a woman feels desire, something shifts in how she looks at you. It's not just frequency, it's quality. Attraction often shows up as a rhythm. She looks at you, holds your gaze slightly longer than expected, then looks away, only to return her gaze moments later. This cycle, look, soften, glance away, return, is a quiet but powerful indicator of interest. Much of this happens unconsciously. For example, pupils naturally dilate when we see something we're attracted to. It's an automatic response. But you don't need to analyze details like that. Focus on the feeling behind the gaze. When she's drawn to you, her eyes often appear softer, warmer, more engaged. It feels different from polite eye contact. It feels present. Imagine sitting across from someone during a conversation. As you speak, she listens intently, smiles gently, looks down briefly, then meets your gaze again. It repeats naturally. That's often the language of attraction. She's not just hearing you, she's engaged with you. A man once described being at a dinner with friends. Every time he spoke, one woman turned toward him fully, gave him her attention, smiled, and repeated that subtle eye contact pattern. He said it felt like the room faded into the background whenever they interacted. That's the power of focused attention. It signals, you matter right now. And attention is the beginning of attraction. Next time you're in a social setting, observe this. Notice who holds eye contact a bit longer, who looks back at you across the room. These signals are happening constantly. Now, let's explore the third and most overlooked signal. It's a shift in space. When a woman feels attraction growing, she often creates small moments of privacy. Social settings are usually shared, groups, conversations, noise. But when interest is present, she may subtly step outside that shared space to create a more personal interaction. Not dramatically, just enough to create a moment for the two of you. She might say, "Come here, I want to show you something." Suggest grabbing a drink together. Lower her voice and speak only to you. These small actions create what psychologists call micro-environments, spaces where deeper connection can develop. It's not about isolation, it's about intimacy. A man once described being at a party when a woman invited him to look at a photo album across the room. The album wasn't important, but the moment was. Away from the group, the conversation became more personal, more relaxed. That was the real intention. These moments allow her to observe how you respond. Do you stay present, relaxed, engaged, It's not a test, it's an invitation, and how you respond matters. Attraction grows best when both people feel comfortable. Calm presence is one of the most attractive qualities you can display. When you recognize these signals, touch, eye contact, and private moments, you stop guessing. You simply respond naturally. Let's bring it all together. These signals aren't loud, they're not dramatic, and that's why they're often missed. Attraction usually begins quietly, with curiosity, small gestures, subtle attention. When you start noticing these patterns, your perspective shifts. You see that connection is happening all around you. Confidence doesn't come from saying the perfect thing. It comes from awareness. And once you understand what's happening, you stop forcing interactions. You simply engage with what's already there. When she touches your arm, stay present. When she holds eye contact, meet it naturally. When she creates a private moment, enjoy it without rushing. Simplicity is powerful. The most meaningful connections feel effortless, not forced. Attraction isn't something you chase. It's something you recognize and allow to grow. A man once believed he was terrible at reading women. Then one day, during a simple conversation at a cafe, he noticed something different. She touched his arm, held eye contact, suggested sitting somewhere quieter. For the first time, he recognized the signals, and instead of overthinking, he stayed present. They talked for an hour. Later, he said, "I didn't try to make anything happen. I just noticed what was already happening."
That's the power of awareness. So here's a simple challenge. Next time you're around others, observe more. Notice who leans in, who lingers, who engages. You might be surprised by what you see, because relationships aren't about tricks. They're about understanding people.
About recognizing the quiet signals of interest and connection. And once you see those signals clearly, everything changes. You stop wondering if a moment matters. You start recognizing when it does. So the next time you notice a lingering touch, a soft returning gaze, or a quiet moment created just for you, pause. Pay attention. Because those subtle whispers might be saying more than you think. And now, you know how to hear them.